Good evening, everyone. We'll bring tonight's meeting of City Council to order. Is there a motion on tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. There's a couple things on here I'd like to add. On 7.0C, it would be separation agreement. And then 8.0, the closed session, want to pull that.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Yep. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Nelson, could you take roll call, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Running.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. And that motion passes. First item on tonight's agenda is presentations. Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'll turn this presentation over to Mike Jazorski, our Finance Director. Mike.
Evening.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I have shared my screen, my presentation. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
All right, before we get into the budget, I wanted to just go over some of the high level look at some of the timeline. Again, the City of East Bethel has a year-long budget process that commences on January 1st of each year when the budget model is created. The budget model chronicles the prior 2 years' activity, the current year's budget, and the next year's budget that is being considered for approval. Embedded in the model are updates to salary benefit line items and debt service requirements for the 2021 budget. From there, the city has a series of meetings, finance committee meeting, department head meetings, and council meetings where the budget is discussed and modified. The objective of tonight's meeting is to provide an overview of the 2021 budget and allow the public input following the review. Again, before we get into the budget, I wanted to go over the financial highlights from the past year. Looking at the city's most current year completed, we note that revenues came in at 103% of the budget and expenditures came in at 102% of the budget. This illustrates that our budget process and modeling does a good job in capturing actual activity that occurs. The City of East Bethel has a formal fund balance policy that states the city should maintain a minimum of 40% of next year's budgeted general fund expenditures as its fund balance. The city had a fund balance of roughly $3.1 million at the end of 2019, or 53% of the 2019 budget. The city received their latest bond rating in December of 2018, which was AA2 or very strong. The city has approved the union contract through 2022. And finally, TIF District 1-1 is projected to be satisfied in 2020, which will then put roughly $4 million in taxable market value back on the property tax rolls in future years. Again, there are two primary ways one could analyze the city budget. One is by department and the other is by groupings for personnel costs, contracted services, supplies, and other. The city's personnel costs account for roughly 40% of the general fund budget. For 2021, the mayor, council, and committee stipends are proposed to remain unchanged. The 2021 budget has 21 full-time employees, 10 in administration, 9 in public works, 2 in the fire department. Of those employees, 10 are represented by a union. For 2021, salaries are proposed to have a 2.5% cost of living increase. The cafeteria contribution for benefits is also proposed to increase from $1,200 to $1,300 per month. As far as benchmarking those increases, the average inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index was roughly 2.2% for 2019. The city also budgeted for 35 paid-on-call firefighters, 1 part-time cable technician, and 2 seasonal public works employees. A summary of the city contract and service budgets for 2021 show that the law enforcement contract is budgeted to increase by $12,000 or 1%. The city assessor contract is budgeted to increase by $2,500 or 4%. And then the city attorney contract is budgeted to increase by $6,000 or 4%. Again, the internal transfer to the park capital fund is budgeted to increase by $5,000. Now, the other way we can look at the city budget, expenditure budget, is by program area. So in governmental accounting, we summarize the budget into specific program areas. The general government classification captures all expenses involved with city governance, city council, city administration, finance, legal, and elections. This classification is budgeted to increase by 4% from $1,124,400 in 2020 to $1,168,400 in 2021. The community development classification captures all expenses involved with planning, zoning, and building inspections. This classification is budgeted to increase by 2% from $602,900 in 2020 to $612,300 in 2021. The public safety classification captures all expenses involved with police and fire protection. This classification is budgeted to increase by 7% from $1,917,900 in 2020 to $2,061,700 in 2021. Engineering expenses are budgeted to remain the same in 2021 and are budgeted at $40,000. The public works classification captures all expenses involved with street maintenance and park maintenance. The public works classification is budgeted to increase by 4% from $1,440,600 in 2020 to $1,497,800 in 2021. Transfers to other funds include transfers to street, building, and park capital and is budgeted to increase by 1% from $610,000 in 2020 to $615,000 in 2021. Again, then, total revenue in all general fund classifications is proposed to increase from $5,740,800 to $6,200,000 or 5%. Total expenditures in the general fund are budgeted to increase at the same rate, and again, that then makes our budget balanced. Again, the components that make up our $6 million in revenue are cable franchise fees, liquor and tobacco licenses, building inspection permit revenue, state aids for streets and other, fines and forfeits, intergovernmental charges, cemetery revenue, tower lease revenue, gambling tax revenue, interest earnings, and of course, property taxes. The city receives roughly 80% of their general fund revenue from property taxes, which is illustrated on this chart. Shifting gears a little bit to our debt service funds, the city will have 4 outstanding bond issues at the end of 2020 with principal balances of roughly $17.1 million in total. Each year, the city pays interest and principal on each of these bonds. These annual principal and interest payments follow a strict schedule that was determined when the initial bond sale occurred. The city also pays fiscal agent fees for each of these issues, which is reflected in the budget. The budget reflects a small decrease from 2020 to 2021 from $1,220,585 to $1,123,175. So again, our general fund levy is proposed to increase by 5% from $4,607,300 to $4,836,000. The debt service levy is proposed to decrease by 8% from $1,202,500 to $1,104,500. You add those two levies up, gives us our total levy increase of 2.2%, or going from $5,809,800 to $5,940,500. The other levying authorities within the city are its Economic Development Authority and the Housing Redevelopment Authority. Again, the goals of the EDA are to encourage redevelopment activities, achieve commercial development, and encourage development of housing within the city. The EDA levy is proposed to increase to $121,200. The East Bethel Housing and Redevelopment Authority's purpose is to provide a sufficient supply of adequate, safe, and sanitary dwellings and address substandard slum or blighted areas within the city. The HRA levy is proposed to increase from $62,600 in 2020 to $69,500 in 2021. And finally, this slide is intended to provide a very rough estimate a homeowner could anticipate seeing as an increase to his or her city component of their respective property tax bill, given the city increases their levy 2.2%. That said, the overall tax increase decrease is controlled by a number of factors: your individual taxable market value increase in relation to the entire city, the city levy, the county levy, and the school district levy. The values provided above are based on assumptions for the overall taxable market value, tax increment, and fiscal disparity values, and is only the estimated increase for the city component of the overall tax bill. Again, for a more specific estimation of your tax bill, you should reference the proposed tax statement that you should have received in the mail. Again, all stakeholders should have received their 2021 proposed tax statement in the mail from the county. On the 2021 tax statement, this meeting was specified as virtual, and as such, staff posted notices to speak at this budget input session on our social media sites. Staff has a computer set up in the senior center for any person that would like to comment on the budget. To date, staff has not received any requests to speak at the public input session on the budget. Jack, with that, have you received any other responses for people to speak at the public forum?
No, nobody requested an invite to the meeting to speak virtually. As Mike said, we do have a public computer set up in the senior center for anybody that wished to appear in person or could not access this by their own computer. Mark, if you can hear this, is there anyone in the senior center that's present to speak on the budget hearing?
There's nobody here right now.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
With that being said, and there's nobody here to speak to the budget unless there's any other discussion or comments by council, staff requests that council consider approval of resolution 2020-71, setting the final property tax levy and budget for 2021.
I'll make a motion for approval of resolution 2020-71, setting the final property tax levy and budget for 2021.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Randy. Discussion.
Say, Mike, I've got a question for you. When I was looking at mine, there's the virtual meetings. They got stuff in there for 2021. Is that for the whole year? Or will that go down if we go back to live meetings? Will that number go down?
That number is at what they dub it as it's the most that the levy could be. So it really doesn't have to do with if the meetings go back to virtual or not. That is the maximum that people should see as an increase to their property taxes. And then of course tonight we approve the final levy, which will then produce the final tax statement.
Thank you.
And any other discussion?
I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Are we approving the levy tonight or just exactly what are we approving?
Jack, can you lay
We're approving the total final budget for 2021 and the levy increase for the budget to satisfy that for 2021.
But did he say we're going to vote on something like this again? I'm a little confused, sorry.
So whatever we vote on tonight sets the levy and sets the final budget.
All right, because I am against increasing any levies, and if we have so much in the surplus, this almost $7.1 million, I don't see, and if we could just keep some of the budget the same as 2020, I don't really see why we even need to establish a levy right now, because with COVID, I'm telling you, people are hurting. With the property taxes, people aren't able to have Christmas this year because they are hurting. Businesses are hurting. Everybody is hurting right now. And if there's any way we can change this, and I know I sympathize, I empathize with all the work that's been put into this budget throughout the year, but nobody really could have projected all these businesses and having to stay closed, all these people out of work. And that's thousands of people. And that's my comment.
Suzanne, we've had several meetings on the budget, and so do you have something specific you would like to change?
My ideas were to keep everything at the 2020 level as much as possible, except for maybe the pay increases if we could use the surplus that we have, because if we have 3.1 million plus we're going to have an extra 4 million. I don't even think this, but the levy is only 4.8 million. I don't think we need to do the levy. I don't think we need to do an additional tax on people this year. And maybe when things get back to somewhat of normal, where people are working and people have time to regain their savings and stuff and get back to some sort of a normal standard of living, maybe, yeah, we can do a levy. But if we have a surplus, this isn't necessary. We can't do this to our residents. We can't.
Suzanne, that surplus you refer to is really just a fund balance that reflects our current cash position, but we have to keep that in place. That's the only revenues we'll receive from property taxes until we reach a settlement with the county, usually around the end of June, 1st of July. So that money will be used to pay our first half bills for operation for the next 6 to 7 months. So it's really not a surplus, it's just a fund account balance that carries us through to we receive our next property tax settlement.
And a point to think about or remember is if we completely took the entire tax away, you're still going to get a tax bill from the county, from the school district, from this, from that. And when I look at my tax statement, the city is one of the smaller portions on the tax. I don't have any, not sympathetic to what people's issues are. We all have issues, but I don't know that what you're suggesting would make any difference whatsoever on a property tax or annual property tax.
It all adds up, and it all makes people suffer even more.
So if we were to do that, again, we're talking what, $34 for somebody who's got a home for $400,000. I appreciate that people who are hurting. I don't think this is going to make a difference for those people who can't afford to pay for their mortgages at this point. The other concern for me is if you do this now, this means that next year you're probably going to have to double the levy in order to keep up with paying the bills for the city. So instead of a 2% increase, next year we're talking 4, maybe 6% increase. Would that not be correct? Thanks.
So you're saying we're planning on a levy increase next year too?
Yeah, so Suzanne, we have to pay for that sewer and water. Do you ever look at that bond? How much that increases every year? Most of that 2% is going to that sewer and water bond down on the south end. It goes up 2% every year, and it keeps going up for the rest of the life of that bond, and we have to pay that every year.
And that's not most of our residents' fault.
Everybody pays for that.
Yeah, and most of the residents were against it. It shouldn't, it's not their fault. And we're making them suffer for this government decisions, and I think it's just wrong.
Well, I have to agree with Randy, because like I said, I think it would double, and this year I see the counties not having any raise, and the school levies are about the same, so I think this would be about the lowest you're gonna get. In 2022, I think, like Randy said, everything's gonna go up. city, county, and school levies.
Okay, any other discussion?
We have obligations that we're legally bound to. And I'm serious, if you took the entire city tax out of the bill, it'd be less expensive, but it wouldn't take people's obligation away. That may not make sense, but the city is one of the smaller portions, I'm not sure what the school is, I don't remember. But the city is one of the smaller portions on the tax bill. You look at the county, the schools, I'm not sure what else is on it this year. But anyhow, it's like Tim said, I think, or Randy said, $40 is less than $1 a week. Difference. Not enough to buy a cup of coffee.
Well, it's like what Mike presented, 80% of our revenue to operate the city comes from property tax. And so your suggestion of taking away that property tax levy means we'd have to cut 80% out of our budget.
A lot of people right now are living on $300 a week. Their mortgage payments.
Appreciate that, but do you understand 80% of our operating revenue comes from property tax?
I understand. And I understand that we could make some sacrifices and cut some of the spending in this thing and not increase all these increases. Just leave it at what was at 2020 and not do the increases and use some of our surplus and I realize that some of it's there for an emergency, but this could be an emergency. It will replenish itself. And I don't agree that we would have to raise taxes again next year.
When you make the comments like cut certain expenses or don't increase, what would you change? When you make those comments, you're going to be called on to back it up. What would you change?
Well, we don't have 100% accurate numbers in here. When I was looking through this.
Which ones are wrong?
I talked to Jack about it already. He explained to me that these numbers are only through the end of October. And when I was going through this, I thought it was current, up to date. And a lot of these departments had not, if you look through it, you'll see a lot of the departments have not completed their 2020 budget, their proposed budget, their actual budget and their proposed budget are tens of thousands of dollars less right now. But I didn't understand that this was only through the month of October until almost before the meeting started, so I couldn't go back and figure it out. So having more accurate numbers would have helped me when I was studying this weekend and today. So I can't go back through and say, well, finances has $50,000 excess, but they haven't done November and December's in their budget. So I don't know exactly where we could cut because our numbers are not accurate, which seems to be a lot of the problem with most of our meetings. We don't have all the information.
Jack,
Suzanne,
would you say we're doing our budgeting any different than we have in the past or any other city does a budgeting?
no, and Suzanne and I did have a discussion on this afternoon. Our figures are accurate. Through the end of October, as with any accounting practices, they normally run 30 days behind. We want to make sure that we got all the bills in for those periods. We're paying everybody for those periods. And it's a normal thing that this is a lag reaction. And as I explained to Suzanne also too, we will not have the final numbers for the 2020 expenditures until the end of January or maybe the first week of February. That's when we'll close out the 2020 budget. At that time, we'll know exactly what our expenditures were versus our revenues. What Suzanne said is accurate. The expenditure column only shows those expenses through October 31st, and they are for the reasons that I just explained. But there are 2 more months of operating revenues to come out of those budgets.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, to the motion, Mr. Nelson, could you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Nay.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes.
Motion number 2, staff requests council consider approval of resolution 2020-72, setting the final 2021 EDA levy and budget.
I'll make a motion for approval of resolution 2020-72, setting the final 2021 EDA levy and budget.
For a second?
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion. Seeing none, Mr. Nelson, could you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Nay.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes.
Recommendation number 3, staff requests council consider approval of resolution 2020-73, setting the final 2021 HRA levy and budget.
I'll make a motion for approval of resolution 2020-73, setting the final 2021 HRA levy and budget.
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion. Seeing none. Mr. Nelson, could you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Nay.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. On to item B,
May I make a comment before we move on?
quickly.
Mike, could, as far as, it's after the fact, but as far as where we stand in that list of cities, about 20 cities or something, whatever it is, we're just about dead middle, aren't we? We're not high, we're not low.
That's
Get back here on mute.
Tom, your statement is correct. The last time we were right in the middle. Half the cities were higher, half the cities were lower, but we're very close to the next 2 or 3 cities, and those cities are ones that have much larger commercial tax bases than we do that can spread these costs out and lessen the burden on the residential property owners.
And that's fairly historic. It's been that way since, after 2015?
Somewhere along there for the last 4 or 5 years, that has been our pattern and our standing in relation to other cities in the county.
Congratulations, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Next item, Jack.
Item 4B, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Program Public Hearing, and I'll turn this over to our city engineer, Craig Yoakum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Agenda 4B is the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Program Public Hearing. The city of East Bethel has developed a stormwater pollution prevention program as required by the National Pollution Discharge Elimination Program, which authorizes cities to discharge stormwater to public water systems. The goal of the program is to reduce the discharge of pollutants into receiving waters to the maximum extent practical. Some of the implementation strategies that are part of the program include sweeping city streets, inspection of the city's stormwater basins, posting city programs such as Cleanup Day on the website, conducting the annual meeting, developing educational pamphlets for distribution to cities and city residents, and investigate any reports of illicit discharge or other non-compliant stormwater complaints. As mentioned, one of the requirements of the program is to conduct an annual meeting. At the annual meeting, the city will consider public input, both oral and written, regarding the adequacy of the program. Based on the public input, the city can modify the program as the city determines to be appropriate. Staff recommends that City Council conduct the annual meeting to consider public input on the city's stormwater pollution prevention program.
Okay, with that, we'll conduct the 2020 annual meeting. Jack, has there been any one contacting City Hall about wanting to present tonight?
No, no one has contacted City Hall with any questions or any matters pertaining to this. Copies of the SWIP program have been available on the city website. So they were available for viewing, but we've had no one that wished to speak on this matter.
Okay. So we'll close the annual meeting then. And there's no other action required?
Correct.
All right. Move on to item 4C.
Well, can I ask a question on this?
Yes.
Is there a cost to this? Because there wasn't anything in the information that we were giving regarding a cost.
The only cost is the small charge that we have from the city engineer to do the report on this. Other than that, there isn't any other thing. We already have it budgeted under other items, essentially street sweeping, updating the plan, inspecting the drainage ponds, but those are all budgeted under public works and other items.
So we actually have a street sweeper. I don't think I've ever seen one. I guess that's what surprised me on this.
Yeah, we do, and we sweep all the city streets every year, and some of them more often than one time. We do the lake areas first to get all that accumulation that's built up through the winter off as quickly as possible, so it doesn't run into the lakes and streams. We also use the street sweeper for cleaning our municipal parking lots, so with the machine, it's quite busy.
Jack, while you're there, is that a statutory issue? And if so, who requires it and who does the report go to?
It is statutory and it's required by the NPDES permits, which is a function of the EPA. It's a program that's required of all cities with 10,000 population or more, and it's administered statewide by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency.
Thank you. I ask those maybe dumb questions for some people, but it's general information for the general population, excuse me, to understand that so much of this stuff we do is a statutory responsibility, and it's not something we volunteer for. It has to be done, whether there's cost or not. Thank you.
Okay. On to 4C.
Item 4C, Animal Control Services Contract. The City Animal Control Services contract with Gratitude Farms will expire on December 31st, 2020. The current contract was approved on January 17th, 2018. On October 12, 2020, the East Bethel City Council approved and directed staff to request proposals for this service. Staff advertised the request for proposals in the Anoka Union, on the League of Minnesota Cities website, the East Bethel website, and on cable channel 10. Mailed packets were sent to Gratitude Farms, North Metro Animal Care and Control, and David and Michelle Russell. The RFPs were required to be submitted to the city by no later than December 3rd, 2020. Proposals were received from Gratitude Farms and North Metro Animal Care and Control. The RFP, as exhibited in Attachment 1, outlines the process for submission and the requirements of the proposal to the city. The city solicits RFPs every 3 to 5 years as part of its policy to ensure competitiveness for management, legal, and other contractual services. The purpose of the request for proposal is to evaluate the qualifications, service level, cost competence, professionalism, and capacity of those seeking to be selected as the provider of the animal control services for the city of East Bethel. Evaluation of the service included the following: cost for the service, references and experience and performance with other municipal contracts, and other factors relating to facilities, use of the Anoka County Sheriff's Office for animal transport, number of municipalities served, access to East Bethel residents, hours of operation, and other non-cost items. Gratitude Farms has provided animal control services to the city of East Bethel since 2009. Their services have been expanded to include municipal animal control contracts with Ham Lake, Bethel, North Branch, Isani, and Cambridge. North Metro Animal Control has provided animal control service since 2014, beginning with the city of Andover and expanding to Blaine, Columbus, Ridley, now then Oak Grove, Ramsey, Spring Lake Park, St. Francis, the townships of Big Lake, Orac, Livonia, and Blue Hill, and the Chicago County Sheriff's Office for unincorporated areas in Chisago County. Gratitude Farms has one owner employee. North Metro Animal Control has one owner employee and one part-time animal control officer administrative assistant. The city of East Bethel reserves the right to accept or reject any or all proposals and select a contractor that best meets the needs of the city. The city's objective is to select a contractor who will provide the best possible service at the best possible cost. The city is not obligated to award the contract based on cost alone. Funds for this service in the amount of $8,000 have been approved and are included in the city's 2021 budget. Based on the proposals, the annual cost for the services submitted by the proposers will be less than the amount budgeted for 2021. Staff is requesting that council review and discuss the proposals of Gratitude Farms and North Metro Care and Animal Control for the city of East Bethel Animal Control Service contract. Should the city council decide to select a firm for this service at this meeting, staff recommends that council approve the provider and direct staff to submit a contract for services to city council for approval at the December 28th, 2020 council meeting. Should council desire to continue the discussion and require more information from the proposers, staff recommends that city council invite Gratitude Farms and North Metro Animal Care and Control to present themselves for interviews and questions at the December 28th, 2020 council meeting, and upon conclusion of that presentation, make a decision as to the selection of the firm to provide animal services control to the city of East Bethel and approve the contract for that service.
Okay.
I, for one, don't need any more information. This is my 8th year of this stuff, and my opinion of Gratitude Farms is quite high. I would move to accept Gratitude Farms based on tonight's action.
Is there a second to that motion?
I disagree because I think-
Suzanne, you're out of order. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion made second. Discussion. Now, Suzanne.
I apologize. What was his motion was to accept Gratitude Farms? Is that the motion?
Correct.
Okay, I disagree because first, we'd save a lot of money by not using Gratitude Farms. Second, we've had so many complaints and issues at meetings regarding Gratitude Farms that I just can't understand why the city would want to even renew this. It makes absolutely no sense to me. They've been in violation of various parts of their contract, and maybe they have, the people who complained haven't filled out the official complaints, but they came before our meetings and listed everything that's been done. And I'm not talking about the one person, but we've had several. So I'm totally in favor of North Metro. I've been to North Metro. I stopped in there on a surprise visit, probably not this last summer, the summer before, and their vehicle was in 100% compliance. Their place is nice and clean, and animals are well cared for. They have plenty of space to run them. I just wouldn't, I don't understand why we would choose Gratitude Farms without.
When you make the comment of these complaints, how many of these people are residents of the city?
At least 3 of them. Only one I know is not a resident.
Who is a resident of the city?
The dog owners, Mr. Fiore, the other lady, I don't know their names, but at least 3 or 4 of them have come to the meetings.
Well, it requires a lot of explanation maybe, but the first two you mentioned, we dealt with that information for months, became years, and there was an opportunity to recover that animal, and it wasn't utilized. There's fault with the previous owner.
Say, Jack, can I ask you a question? What if we got out of the animal control? What would that do? Would that go to the county, or how would that work?
The city is not required to provide an animal control officer. Should we elect not to provide this service in the form that's currently offered, then that would fall back on the Anoka County Sheriff's Department.
And then they would bill us?
Our contract, they wouldn't bill us per dog. There would be a line item in their contract.
Okay.
And I would assume that their annual contract would go up substantially.
Okay, because you guys in the past have used the county, correct?
In 2008, we had, there was a change in animal control officers, and the animal control service in 2007, 2008 was provided by a service out of White Bear. The problem with that was the distance, the logistics of them getting here on time to pick animals up. As a result, we had to put up a temporary kennel in the Public Works Department where we kept dogs until the ACO could come and pick them up. Many times dogs were picked up on Friday evening, would not be picked up by the animal control officer until Monday. We had to pay some of our on-call people extra overtime to come clean the kennels, feed the dogs, water the dogs, take them out for a walk. It was not an ideal situation. And that's the time that the city reached out and discussed this with Ms. Gimple, and she expressed an interest in providing the service. She did it for 1 year, and then started having her contracts renewed annually until this time.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, I have a couple of things that I would like to just point out. I think the first thing that I would like to mention is that Gratitude Farms is a company that's located within our city. I mean, this is an East Bethel company. The other thing is that Gratitude Farms has provided service since 2009, which is over 10 years. There was really only one incident that I'm aware of where there was a serious complaint, and it was very deeply investigated by council. And I think, that, unfortunately at that point, it was over and done even before it came to council. And when we addressed it, it looked very much like, the case was that, the owner did have the opportunity to get their dog and they just didn't avail themselves of it. Um, I appreciate the fact that this family did not have the money, but there's so many people, including my family, that is willing to support people who can't afford the money to get their dogs and are willing to do that. And so it still requires the dog owner, to step forward and find a way, to take care of their animal. Just like when you have children, I'm sorry, you have to find a way to take care of them. My other concern is North Metro, who I don't have anything against, has over 14 cities that they're doing a contract with, and they have, from what I read, 24 different kennel sites, whereas our own Gratitude Farms in the city of East Bethel has 36. So there is a lot more space at Gratitude Farms than there is at North Metro. And my concern is with so many cities that that North Metro is dealing with, whether or not they are really going to be able to serve the residents of East Bethel in a manner that is going to be timely. So that's a big concern for me. Again, I understand that according to the contracts that have been put before us, that at first look, North Metro is $1,500 cheaper. That's nothing to sneeze at. But with the time that's already been invested with Gratitude Farms, the work that they have done, and they have done a lot of work to help not only with getting dogs back to their owners, but they've also been very involved in animals who are not dogs, and they've done a lot of great work, not only with them but with rescues to make sure that dogs are taken care of. So with that in mind, again, it's almost a flip of the coin for me. This whole point of how many cities that North Metro is currently dealing with is a bigger concern for me than almost anything else. And the reliability that I think that we have had with Gratitude Farms, I'm sorry, but I think that's what tripped it for me. So that's all I have. Thanks.
I'd like to add something to what Randy said. The issue that you mentioned, Suzanne, about the animal that didn't stay with its owners, original owners. This woman said that she got the price, said she couldn't afford it. Gratitude Farms tried to accommodate that and reduce the price, whether they would have or not for anybody else, we'll never know. But they reduced the price reasonably. It was more than enough to make a difference. And the lady didn't do anything about it, didn't do anything with it. And when Randy's talking about mentions all the cities, I didn't count them, but I know there's a list of them. What they said in their proposal, it looks like they only have 2 employees, the owner and one other employee, and they discussed business hours. They're not available to the extent that Gratitude Farms is. Gratitude Farms is a 24-hour deal. And I guess that's what I think.
Well, I'm gonna give you my 2 cents worth. I'm not a fan of either one of them. There's been a lot of things said on social media by both of them. And that's why I've been leaning towards getting out of the animal control. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, in addition to the history, I've talked to people who she picked up their dog and they practically followed them to their place and they still had to pay over $100 just to get their dog within 10 to 30 minutes of having it picked up. It's not friendly for our residents at all. And I think that's what really hurts. If she picks up a dog that is across the street or at the end of somebody's property or I don't know. I can't remember all the other places, but um, I think what she charges her, the people are just outrageous. It's over $100 to pick up your dog if she's had it for over in an hour, and I don't think it's fair for our residents at all. And like I said, our residents are hurting for money, and these dogs are family to most people. They're like your child.
Right, but when she gets an animal, all the ones I'm familiar with, the sheriff's department brings the animal because they've been involved and pick up an animal. She doesn't go around looking for a dog that's loose someplace. The sheriff's department picks these animals up and takes them to her. And whatever the agreements are, I guess I don't know as far as the cost. $100 for 10 minutes seems a little strange.
I don't think that's the case all the time because she has a vehicle and she transports animals. She's been photographed transporting animals without and not being in compliance. So I know.
I'm not aware that, I'm sorry, Suzanne, I interrupted you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, that's okay. I was finished, Randy.
I am not aware that Anoka County police officers are transporting dogs to Tammy. My understanding is that when the police officers see a roaming dog, that they call Tammy and she comes and picks up the dog. So one of my biggest concerns, is that we shouldn't be having police officers, the Anoka County police officers, delivering dogs to our animal control person. I don't care if it's North Metro or Gratitude Farms. I don't think that we should be having them do that. They have much more important job to do than doing that. And so that was kind of one of my big concerns. And I'm not sure what North Metro's policy is as to whether they pick up all their dogs or not. I haven't seen any conflicting information that they don't. But my other concern is, Suzanne, you're talking about so many complaints that we have heard from residents, and my concern is when they've presented their complaints to the city, nobody has been able to provide any verifiable evidence as to the complaints that they're talking about. And, we've said that for 3 years now. Please provide us with something that, not only is evidence, but evidence that would, if it was challenged in a court of law, that would stand up. And I'm sorry, but, if I just went to the city and said, well, I heard that, Gratitude Farms came up into my yard and they took my dog and they took it away from me and I had to spend $110 or whatever to pick up my dog. I need more than just somebody's statement. That's not verifiable evidence that you can bring into a court of law. And, you know, what I think we have to remember is that city council, while it's not a court of law, it is still it's the municipal equivalent of a court of law. We make the ordinances and we have to judge on those ordinances. And so therefore we need something that is provable in a court of law in order for us to enact on it. And so that's kind of been the frustrating thing for me over the past 3 years when we've heard these complaints is we've said, give us something that we can actually use, you know, to actually verify what is being said. Because, you know, and I get it, you know, maybe you are telling the truth. We don't know. But you still need some kind of evidence that we can actually, you know, hang our hats on. Because otherwise, we're just going by, you know, whatever somebody wants to say on social media. And to me, that's not right. If somebody was to come to me on social media and say, Suzanne, I've heard you've done X, Y, and Z. Would that be fair? I don't think so. We want something a little bit more. So, again, I don't think we should dismiss those comments, but it's really hard for us to actually have actionable items on both pieces if they don't present something a little bit more. Receipt, you know, pictures that, you know, or audio that actually, you know, what you're saying is happening. So I think we have to take those items and remove them from the discussion of what we're talking about and concentrate on, you know, what's the cost, what's, you know, what kind of services are available, and, you know, whether or not they can do the job. And for me, again, we could switch to North Metro. I mean, that's something that we could do, but, you know, we know the quantifiable experience that we've had with Gratitude Farms. And that's my only comment on that. Thanks.
I like to correct something I said. Randy's correct. I misspoke about the sheriff's delivering. What Randy said is accurate. The what it should have been said more accurately would be that those animals are the result of complaints to the sheriff's department for actions or the dog fight or whatever it might be. But also, this social media stuff, some of the complaints that came into the city hall or to the council meetings, what they submitted for evidence is something from the internet this, the internet that. That's not evidence. Physical evidence is you go and find out numbers, descriptions, things like that. That what's on the internet doesn't mean anything to us. It's we don't have any control over the internet or what somebody puts on there. And in 8 years, the only complaint there was that I'm aware of, that I recall, is Duke the dog, and that unfortunately became a cause for some people to raise hell, and not as much concern I don't see that it was for the family. And if anybody doesn't know who I'm talking about, anyway, that's enough said. Thank you.
Well, evidence was brought. Some of it was hearsay. Some of it was photographic evidence that was taken. And I feel like the city, and this was shortly after I got on, so I kind of was taking everything in and was a little overwhelmed. But I feel that people on this, at the city, all of us, just kind of dismissed it. We didn't take it seriously, and I think it was because it was from somebody who doesn't live in the city, but there was photographic evidence of at least one violation. I don't remember what all the other violations were. Some of it were contract violations, and that's kind of irrelevant right now, but my concern is for the residents and what she charges them for having the animal for a very short time. I think that's unfair and wrong. And I know North Metro doesn't charge that much. At least, and they try to find the owner much faster. I know Gratitude Farm seems to have the animals a little bit longer once they get them.
Yeah, I agree with, statements that Randy and Tom made that, over the, actually 11 years now, we've had a contract with Gratitude Farms for the service. The city's been satisfied. It's provided good service to us. It's provided good service to the Anoka County Sheriff's Department. I know she works, Tammy works, directly with them because she does respond to those calls. So, a lot of the items you're bringing up, Suzanne, is, I read Facebook too, and I see all the statements that are made, but it comes down to the reality that the only complaint the city's had is Duke the dog. Is that correct, Jack? We haven't had any other complaints about the ACO.
That's the only formal complaint that we've had since I've been here as city administrator. We've had some people that have complained, some after the fact, but that's the only formal complaint that's ever been filed. I had one resident that complained after this became an issue that Gratitude Farms picked their dog up and took it and impounded it, and the dog was just out running in the street. But that's the only complaint of that nature I've ever seen, and that didn't happen when the incident occurred.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, to the motion, Mr. Nelson, could you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
No.
Councilmember Ronnie.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
No.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. And that motion passes. On to our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's consent agenda. I'd like to pull item F, as in Frank.
Are there any other items we pulled?
Yes. I'd like to pull item, whoops. I don't have a lot of space here. Item 8, L, and A.
Can you restate that again? I've got A, I, and L.
And H.
And what?
H.
H, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's in a second. Any further discussion on this? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Nelson, take roll call vote, please.
Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronnie.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. Suzanne, item A.
Okay, I think I just have 2 questions on the bills list. One is Viking trophies. It's on page 144, Fire Department conferences and meetings. What is that for? I'm sorry, I'm just nosy on this.
That was for some plaques that were awarded to some firefighters for their annual recognition.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations, guys, or gals. I'm glad. I was just curious what it was for. My other question is on page 145 and I think 146, the commissions and boards. notice all these payments, they're different, but which kind of confused me. And do they get, is this like a lump sum payment where they get paid every so many months, or how does that work?
They get paid for $20 per each meeting, and based on the number of meetings they have, that's the way their pay is. For some commissions, there was only 2 meetings this year. For others, like the planning commission, there were probably 8 or 9, so that's the reason for the difference.
Okay, it's just some of them are on the same meeting, but I guess because they maybe missed a meeting. That makes sense. Okay, I'd like to approve item A on the consent agenda.
Your second?
I'll second.
Sorry that I said that wrong.
Discussion. Hearing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel. Mayor Voss.
Aye. That motion passes. Item F. Tim.
In your packets, under city council work meetings, some of them have July 5th, but it should be July 6th. And with that, I will make a motion to approve item F with the correction made.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Discussion. Jack, do you agree? You said,
Yes, that's the correct, July 5th was the incorrect date, July 6th is the correct date.
correct, okay. All right. No further discussion. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. And that motion passes. Suzanne, item H.
Actually, I don't have anything on item H. I found the answer. So I'll just make a motion to approve item H on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. That motion passes. Item I, Suzanne.
Item I, hiring of the community development administrative assistant. My question on this one is just how they decide what the pay is going to be, the pay scale, where they're going to be on the pay scale when they get hired. I'm just wondering why it's at the point it is and not either lower or higher.
The pay scale, there's a pay grade established for each job position. There's 7 steps in the pay grade. That pay grade is the lowest step. Generally, most people are started at that step and then they progress each year annually until they get to their end of their step increases. We have on occasion moved people up depending on experience, qualification, and need. But the short answer is that's based on the pay grade associated with the job description.
Okay, so she started at a grade 4 FA. Why not a 3A or a 2A or a 6A? I guess.
The pay grade 4 is the pay grade for that job description. We evaluate those every 3 years by state statute, and then annually too, to determine that those pay grades are adequate for the actual jobs that are required.
I get it now. Thank you. I guess it took me a minute. All right, I'll approve item I on the consent. I'll make a motion to approve item I on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. And that motion passes. Item L, Suzanne.
L, okay. Well, this is for actually item J and L, but it's the same thing. It's the reappointments of the people on the commission. And it also goes for the people on the planning commission. I just want to thank them for their service and welcome them to another term. And with that, I will make a motion to approve item L on the consent agenda.
Second,
Discussion. Hearing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. That completes our consent agenda. There's no new business. Item 7A, community development. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello. So tonight we have on the agenda the formal adoption of the Bethel Water Management Plan and the 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update. A little bit of a background. On May 29th in 2019, the East Bethel City Council adopted Resolution 2019-25, and that authorized the middle of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update to the Met Council for review. So that was submitted by staff on June 1st of 2019. So the past 18 months, staff and Met Council, we've been working together to formalize the plan. On November 18th of this year, 2020 Met Council determined that the East Bethel 2040 comp plan conformed with the Metropolitan Land Use Planning Act requirements. And part of that, once they determine that the comp plan is complete, then by state statute 473.858, the City of East Bethel must formally adopt the plan. Attachment 3 of your guys' packet is the Met Council approval letter with their staff report that was presented to all their boards. Then also as part of the 2040 comp plan update, the city must also update and approve the East Bethel Water Management Plan. Talking to the Anderson, they drafted this plan. Anoka Conservation District reviewed and presented the plan to the Upper Rum WMO and the Sunrise WMMO. The council formally approved the plan, and pursuant to Minnesota Statute 103B.235, the City of East Bethel has 120 days to formally adopt and implement that plan as well. So both the 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update and the East Bethel Water Management Plan are available for review on the East Bethel website. So this time, staff is requesting City Council to consider the adoption of 2 resolutions. The first one is to formally adopt the East Bethel Water Management Plan, and the second resolution will be to formally adopt the East Bethel 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Could these be one motion or separate motions, Chris?
They will need to be separate motions because they're 2 different resolutions.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion for approval of Resolution 2020-78, adopting the East Bethel Water Management Plan.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
I have a question. My first question is, what if I personally disagree with it? Does it matter?
Your vote.
What would you disagree?
It's just a question. There's actually a couple of things in the comp plan that I don't agree with, but I was just wondering what if I disagree with it, and what if the city doesn't make it, isn't able to, for instance, get the population up to 18,000, whatever the odd number is?
Those are just suggested numbers, so it doesn't mean that the city has a requirement to get to that population number by 2040. These are just numbers that were given to the city by East Bethel. That's our goal.
And if we don't make
it's fine. Met Council knows that a lot is riding on this. The market, one of them. Land prices, that sort of thing. But what they do is they just try to distribute the population of the metropolitan area.
Actually, aren't we talking about the East Bethel Water Management Plan rather than the comp plan with this resolution?
It was general for both of those. I was asking regarding both of them because I'm not sure that just in case. I was just wondering what happens in case. That's all.
Okay, any other discussion?
Well, we are required to, Jack, pass a comp plan according to statute from you know from the cities. But this is just a blueprint. This is not something that you know we have to follow to the letter. And you know the comprehensive plan, according to what I remember, you know, can be changed, and there's no penalties if we don't meet this any of the goals according to what you know is in the plan. But it just needs to be passed, you know, by statute from Met Council. Is that not correct, Jack?
That's correct, Randy.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Stephanie. You mentioned that too.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
So if something comes up in the future that would meet one of these goals, like a shopping center, I know that that's not in there, but it's just off the top of my head, and we vote against it, there's no repercussions. So if I vote for this tonight and I vote against something in the future, there's no repercussions, right? Am I understanding this?
No, there's no repercussions.
Okay,
You're correct, Susan.
thank you so much.
If we were to vote against it, we would have to explain why, and we would have to correct it in the future, I would have to believe. Is it fair to say that this can be looked at as a guide? And if you find something that you have to go outside the guide, you have to get approval from the Met Council?
Councilmember Ronnie, you're absolutely correct with the guide.
I didn't understand what you just said. You were all broken up, Stephanie.
Councilmember Ronnie is correct. It's a guide for the city as we move forward in development. It's a guide for us to follow.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronnie.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. On to our next resolution.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-79, resolution adopting the 2040 East Bethel Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
Motion made and second. Discussion. So question, Stephanie, next steps on this is looking at our code ordinances and revising accordingly?
Yes, that is correct. So Aaron and I are actually diligently working on that now, updating some of our zoning codes that need to be updated. So coincide with our comp plan. And I'm actually thinking of maybe a work session in beginning of February with City Council and Planning Commission to sit down and take a look at the proposed changes before we have the public hearing for it.
Is there any kind of timeline or deadline to do this?
They're 6 months. So we have 6 months.
Okay. So you'll be busy.
I'm hoping to have everything completed by the end of March.
we go. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. Stephanie and Jack, thanks for the work for the staff on this plan. I know it was a lot of work, so.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do is thank Stephanie and Jack and the whole staff. It's been a long time. We're getting to the end of it, but thanks for everything.
Amen.
Okay, on to engineers report. Craig. I think you're on mute, Craig. Nope. Check your plug or something.
Any,
Heard you for a second.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what that was, but. Item 7B1, accepting bids for the 2021 Durant Street reconditioning project. The City Council approved the plans and specifications and authorized solicitation of bids for this project on June 8th, 2020. Bids were opened on July 7th. The base bid for this project included reclamation and repaving Durant Street from 204th Lane to 213th Avenue. An alternate bid was also received for this project, which included placing soil reinforcement mat in areas of road that had included deep peat soils. The estimated cost of this project was $652,000. A total of 4 bids were received in July. The lowest bid was Knife River at $740,534.15, which was 12% over the project estimate. At the July 27th council meeting, staff recommended that bids not be accepted and the project be rebid with a spring 2021 completion date. This project was rebid on December 8th. The bids were received electronically. A total of 9 bids were received and are summarized in your packet. Douglas Kerr Underground was the lowest responsible bidder. Staff recommends that the bid be accepted, including the base bid and alternate bid number 1 from Douglas Kerr Underground in the amount of $618,976.96. The rebid was $121,557.19 lower than the original bids received in July. Staff is recommending approval of Resolution 2020-80, accepting bids for the 2021 Durant Street reconditioning project and award of a contract to Douglas Kerr Underground.
Is there a motion on this tonight?
I'll make a motion for approval of resolution 2020-80, accepting bids for the 2021 Durant Street reconditioning project and award of a contract to Douglas Kerr Construction LLC.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Craig, I'm gonna give you an easy one. I haven't heard of these guys. Where are they out of? Are they out of the cities here somewhere?
They're out of Mora.
Okay.
I've worked with them numerous times in the city of Anoka.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. To the motion, Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance,
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel,
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. On to city administrator.
Item 7G, joint powers agreement, Viking Boulevard, Davin Street. I'm sorry, actually, we have an item with the city attorney now, which is item 7C, which was added to the agenda at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I put it in the wrong spot. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and council members, this is the item that was amended at the start of the meeting. What you have before you now and what I circulated earlier in the day is a separation and release of claims agreement. This is a separation agreement that the city is considering entering into with former employee Amy Norling. As part of the waiver of claims, separation benefits, severance benefits would be paid to Ms. Norling in the amount of $6,672. Again, stand for any questions that the council may have on this, and the recommendation is approval of the city entering this agreement.
Chris sent the separation agreement out this afternoon, so we all should be able to review it. Is there a motion on approval of the separation agreement?
Move for approval on the separation agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. Discussion.
Well, I'm glad it's done.
Chris, thanks for your work on this. With that, no further discussion. Mr. Nelson, could you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Roney.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. Now on to city administrator.
Thank you, Steve. Item 7G1, joint powers agreement, Viking Boulevard, Davenport Street intersection project. At this time, I'll turn this back over to our city engineer for presentation.
Staff met with the Anoka County Highway Department on 3 separate occasions to discuss the design requirements for the intersection of the new frontage road with County Road 22 or Viking Boulevard. Anoka County will require a right turn lane as well as a dedicated left turn lane as shown in attachment 1 in your packet. In order to construct the left turn lane, the pavement needs to be expanded to the north approximately 12 feet. There is not adequate right-of-way to complete the lane expansion. Right-of-way will need to be acquired from 7 properties. The strip of right-of-way is anticipated to be 15 feet wide. Acquiring this right-of-way is anticipated to take 9 to 12 months. In order to keep the frontage road project on schedule, staff met with Anoka County and suggested that at this time, the right lane be constructed, and in lieu of the dedicated left turn lane, a temporary bypass lane be constructed. Anoka County staff was receptive to this plan and has just suggested a joint powers agreement be drafted. A 6-year timeline to get the left turn lane constructed was acceptable to the county engineer. Staff recommends City Council approve the joint powers agreement for the construction of a bypass lane and left turn lane on County Road 22 or Viking Boulevard as presented in attachment 1 of your council packets.
Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the joint powers agreement as proposed.
Second.
Motion made, second. Discussion. Hearing none. Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Roney.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye, and that motion passes. Item G2.
Easement and right-of-way dedication for the Trunk Highway 65 East Service Road project. Again, the city engineer will make the presentation.
The service road construction project from 186th Avenue to Viking Boulevard requires the dedication of both permanent and temporary easements and road right-of-way. Right-of-way plat number 5, which is included in your packet, shows all the required easements and right-of-way needed for this project. The city attorney has prepared easement and right-of-way agreements for signature by the respective property owners. All the agreements have been executed by the property owners. Just to note, a right-of-way plat is a little different than a regular, what you think of as a plat for platting. Once you file that plat, all that, the easements, right-of-ways and such on a regular plat they're of record. These require the plat be filed and then these separate easement deeds. So that's why the both entities are required for this. So with that, staff recommends council approve right-of-way plat number 5 and accepts all easements and right-of-way that will be dedicated with the plat and agreements for the Trunk Highway 65 East Service Road project.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the right-of-way plat number 5 and accept all easements and right-of-way that will be dedicated with the plat and agreements for the Trunk Highway 65 East Service Road project, Davenport Street, Viking Boulevard to 186th Avenue.
Second.
Motion made in second. Discussion.
So I have a question. Did you say all the property owners are in agreement, or did we have to pay for their property? And how much did that cost?
All the right-of-way, I'm sorry, all the right-of-way was dedicated for nothing or for free, and they all have already signed their agreements.
Very cool. Okay, thank you. That's all my question.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Nelson, could you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plassance. Councilmember Plassance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. That motion passes. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Staff report.
I have nothing further to report this evening.
Council reports. Tim.
The only thing I want to do is wish everybody a Merry Christmas and watch the ice. There's some spots that are good on Coon Lake, some spots that are soft, and I noticed guys on Typo and Linwood and all the other lakes, so just be careful out there. That's all I've got.
Hey, Tom.
I might be the last one to notice this, but if instead of clicking on your microphone to mute, unmute, just push your space button. That way you don't get caught with an open mic sometimes. And like Tim said, happy Merry Christmas to everybody and safe, healthy future. Thank you.
Suzanne.
All right, well, I attended the Park Commission meeting. It was a nice, quick meeting. We already know they changed the meetings to Tuesdays and they reinstated a current member and their budget, they're at 80% of their budget. But I wanted to talk about the last meeting where there were several accusations towards me, which really offended me. And I was really flabbergasted and I feel like I didn't defend myself enough. I was accused of recording a meeting and they said that the minutes would reflect that. Well, the minutes don't. And in fact, the minutes don't even show the whole conversation, which kind of disappointed me. We were all lectured for a few minutes and it was all directed at me, and there was no proof, no evidence, nothing. And I feel really, I guess, angry and offended by all that happened. I mean, I could come back here and accuse everybody here of doing things I suspect you of, from serial meetings to council doing the anonymous reporting of favoritism of residents, of harassing residents that had political signs opposing different people here. Those kind of things are going on in this city, and yet you accuse me of doing stuff, and I feel like it was wrong, and it shouldn't happen. People have called me and said that the guys on the council bully me, that I'm being bullied. And I never really noticed that, but that's the way it's perceived by our residents. And you guys might not even realize it, but you guys are bullies. And I think it needs to stop. I think I deserve the respect that I give everybody here. And that's all I've got to say.
Suzanne, what accusations are you referring to? I don't remember.
It was me.
Accusations.
It was me. And I believe I did say the minutes will reflect that. After the fact, I didn't expect they would. It was such a short, quick comment. If I'm in error, I apologize. I was going to go and watch the video of it, see if there was anything there. But I will apologize, Suzanne. I have no intention of harming anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Thank you, Tom. And the other stuff happened in the closed meeting, if you recall.
I don't recall any accusations.
Yeah, there was, what are you referring to? There was some comment about people going on the closed session is closed. It's to the council and whoever's a participant only. Nothing outside. It's not supposed not to go outside. And I think there was a comment about campaign information being used that came from a closed session. Is that?
No, and because it was in the closed session, I don't want to elaborate, but it had to do with disclosing information occurring in closed sessions to the general public. And I made a comment that said, if this is being directed at me, I'd like to explain. And it was confirmed that it was being directed at me, and I explained one part of it.
Yeah. I still don't remember anything directed at you. It was a discussion about council protocol and that we're supposed to proceed. It was nothing that any particular council member. So is that it, Suzanne? Okay. Randy.
So I'm going to just bring up a point of fact that there has been some concern about signing up for the open forum for city council, and that it happens on 4 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the city council meeting. And the concern was, gee, how can I know whether or not, what, if my topic is going to be on the actual meeting, if the packet or the agenda doesn't come out until Friday. And so I have a couple of recommendations. The first is and I understand the reason why we do it. I mean, on Friday we have a lot of last minute items that come up. for the agenda, and that's why, that's when we're actually putting out the agenda on Friday. I think the other thing that is of concern is, that we have to put out the notice that, hey, sending out the invitations for the WebEx meeting that's going to happen on Monday. So my recommendations are, number one, is it possible that we could move back the deadline until Monday morning for someone to sign up for the open forum? And listen, I understand since we have reinstated the public comments, no one is asked to actually come and speak at the public comments since we've reinstated it. But I think that the concern is still real that, boy, why can't they do it? And I have mentioned to some of these people that, you can still go ahead and call and get on, the public forum, even if you don't know what's on the agenda. Please call. We would really like to hear from you. The other thing that I would recommend is that we put out a provisional agenda, say by, Monday or Tuesday. And it is literally just, this is what is planned to be on the agenda. The final setting of the agenda wouldn't happen until Friday. But at least then people would get an idea of maybe what's coming. So that's my recommendation. That's kind of what I've heard from some people in the community that is a concern. So I'm passing that along and seeing whether or not, there's any appetite to maybe reconsider when these deadlines are for both the agenda and when residents can sign up for the public forum option. So that's it for me. Again, like others, I would like to wish everyone a happy holidays and stay safe. Thank you.
Jack, is there any reason why we couldn't extend that deadline for signing up until Monday morning sometime? You're on mute.
There's no reason why we couldn't. We could put out a draft agenda that could come out, say, on Tuesday afternoons, subject to the condition that it could change by Friday. There could be additions or deletions to it. But we could certainly extend that sign-up period for the public forum either to Friday afternoon. I would rather keep it then and wait till Monday morning, but we could do it either way.
I mean, I'd be supportive of pushing that deadline to Monday morning, late morning or something, but not so much sending out the draft agenda. I think that could cause problems. That's obviously more work, but the two aren't even connected because, the public forum is not for items that are on the agenda. So it really doesn't matter what's on the agenda because that couldn't be discussed at the public forum anyway. So I agree with getting, the packet out or the agenda out a little bit earlier might be helpful, or at least post the agenda when it's set and so it's out there. But having a 4 or 5 days early, I think, is probably going to cause problems.
I 100% agree with Monday morning, noon, a deadline.
Yeah, by Monday morning, I think it's on the website anyhow, as far as agendas and packets. And you made the comment about what's on the agenda, and it sounded to me like that was the purpose for having this early. Brandy could answer. If somebody wants to have information so they can bring it up at the public forum or something, that wouldn't be appropriate. If that's the case, maybe would just explain if that's a.
So it sounds like. Sorry, Tom. Sounds like we're in agreement about moving the public forum sign-up deadline till Monday morning. so we can do that starting next meeting. What do we think about posting out a preliminary agenda ahead of time now? My concern is if something changes, someone, it's preliminary, someone's gonna say it was on the agenda if we take something off. And again, it's not gonna, if the agenda comes out early, it's not gonna affect public forum at all, so.
I 100% agree with you, Mayor Boss. I think it's extra work that the city doesn't need. I think their hands are full enough. I just would like people to be able to, if they know what's on the agenda, even on Friday, if they're working till 5 p.m., they have the time. And, with our sketchy internet access out here, and busy schedules, weekends going to the cabins and stuff, I think Monday morning is a acceptable deadline.
I have no objection. I think the main concern obviously is knowing what's on the agenda before you call and say, hey, I want to be at the open forum. Jack, do you have a special concern about waiting until Monday to actually, set that date as when people sign up?
No, we can make that work. I would prefer if we do it on Monday, we do it, say, by 10 a.m. That way we can get everybody notified as to who signed up, what the topics are, so you'll have a chance to look at it too.
Okay. All right, so we'll make that change. Do you have anything else, Randy? All right, and I don't have anything other than to wish everyone a safe and happy holidays, and watch the ice on the lakes. As Tim said, it's still a little bit sketchy here and there, but they are fishing on Coon Lake and ice skating on Coon Lake and doing a lot of other things. So with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made in second. Hey, Mr. Nelson, can you take roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronning.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaisance.
Aye.
Councilmember Urkel.
Aye, and Merry Christmas.
Mayor Voss.
Aye. That motion passes. Our meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas.